is this? Tabletop Island, huh? Let's see what this is all about.
Today we will be deciding who will be the next Wizard King, but let's first hear something from our current Wizard King.
Oh, welcome! I'm excited to determine who will be the new Wizard King! I hear we have some fine choices indeed.
Fine indeed. First we have Solanos, the Wizard of Fire. When challenged, he can unleash drought and consequent famine and the unbridled fury of all-consuming fire. Yet his raucous humor is legendary.
Oh, I do love a good joke.
Then we have Oceanus, the Wizard of Water. Dark, brooding, and vengeful. He is extremely powerful and persistent. He will sacrifice much for the taste of victory.
Oh, I love victory.
Zephyron, Wizard of Wind. He can summon astounding magical powers from the whirling maelstroms of hurricanes, tornadoes, and typhoons. When in a good mood, he is surrounded by birds that play in the soft, gentle breezes.
Oh, that sounds quite nice.
And finally, Terra, the Wizard of Earth. Terra controls the birth, decay, and rebirth of vegetation and movement above and below ground. He is generally benevolent, but if angered, may overuse his powers of destruction, especially earthquakes.
Oh, well, you can't go wrong with earthquakes.
So how are you feeling today, Wizard King?
Oh, what a tough choice this is, but there can only be one Wizard King. So I choose.
And we'll be right back after these commercials. Welcome to Tabletop Island. I'm Bernardo, your host, and today we're going to be talking about the vintage board game, Tower
of the Wizard King
by Parker Brothers. This game came out in 1993, and man, there's a lot to talk about here. Let's first start with the components. Now, take a look at this amazing 3D board. The artwork is so well done, so clean and detailed. The tower being 3D is just so great. The stairs that the Wizard King kind of goes up, which creates the endgame condition, just so nicely put together. The wizard from the Wizard King is just really nice component quality. He is just really thick, good plastic. The detail on him is great. All of the meeples have amazing detail. Everything is just so well put together and so well thought out. The little flags and the castles are just great. The plastic is, again, just so well detailed, and then the little flags can be put in there when you start to conquer them. The only thing that kind of has a weaker component to it would be the flags for each color along the back of the tower there. They are stickers, but that doesn't really take away from the game itself, nor is it really that relevant. But you have these really thick tiles that have your character pieces, all of the other characters that will transition in the game, which we'll get to, and then the little token tiles that are around, just really thick and nice quality cardboard there. And then finally, the tower, the Magic Wizard King Tower is just so awesome. Probably one of the best components I've ever seen in a board game ever. You basically take your character meeple, whoever you start with, and there's this little plastic color tray that indicates what color wizard that you're a part of, whatever color team that you're a part of and representing. Whenever you initiate a battle, you place them into the tower if you choose that yours kind of has a weakness towards the opponent itself. So you can put them in the tower, close the door, pull the lever, and it changes them. Not only does it change them, but it keeps your colored kind of tab piece that's at the bottom of your meeple stationary, switches the meeple and drops them into that little section for that tab itself. It's so amazing. It doesn't even just rotate once. There's like 3 or 4 different meeples that are inside of there, or characters that are inside of the tower, and it doesn't just go to the next one. It's random on how it distributes. There's probably an algorithm for it, but I don't care to have it memorized because I'm so infatuated by it. It's so amazing. The Wizard King itself and different tiles can also change you, so there's a lot there going. While you think that you have entire control, as to when your character changes. There's one character in there called the Dragon, who's a pretty powerful being. He has a lot of different weaknesses, but in terms of like movement and stuff like that, but in terms of battle, it does dominate pretty well. So having different tiles that can just change it on your free will because you don't want your opponent to have it is just so nice. And you can't really guarantee the next time you go into the tower that you'll change to it, because again, it's all random. It doesn't just go to the next one there, but it also just could. So depending what character you have, it has different abilities and different movements that you can do for your character itself. And there's different characters in the game that it has weaknesses against. It even tells you when you end up battling how many dice you use versus certain characters. So kind of knowing who to challenge, you kind of know ahead of time who you want to avoid and who you may want to initiate a battle with, so you can go to the tower to change your character first, which is kind of where that strategy comes in play. And you do a little bit of a probability because you know every character that's in the tower, you just don't know which one you will get. So you kind of go against those probabilities and kind of work around and strategize with that. So you're moving to each space depending on your number of movement, revealing the tile, doing what it says on the tile itself, and again, you can put a pendant on a castle. And while you're doing that, you're trying to basically control the most number of castles. When the Wizard King itself makes it to the top of the castle, the game ends. Whoever has the most pendants on castles wins the game. Now you can go to other opponents' castles itself where they have their pendants. Let's say they have like 3 of them. You can go there to challenge it to take over that castle entirely and replace their pendants with yours. When you do challenge them, they do have an advantage by having more pendants, so they will always have an advantage above you. But how you resolve battles is so fun and so unique. I do like it very much. I believe from what I've been told, it's like Risk. I haven't played Risk in so long and I don't really remember it that well, so it's probably a game I might have to even check out too. But basically you roll your dice, and let's say I only roll 2 dice but my opponent rolls 4. So they roll their dice, and let's say I roll 2 6s, they roll a 6 5, and let's say the other ones were really low. So both of our 6s cancel each other out. The next one in line for my opponent's a 5, but I rolled 2 6s, so my 6 beats them, so I win the battle. So basically the person with the highest number on the dice wins, but you also have to have the highest number after whatever dice cancel each other out is. So if my opponent rolls a 6 and I roll a 6, the next in line number there has to be the highest. So if theirs was a 5, they lost to my second 6. It's such a fun and great way to kind of compete with the dice, and it means that you can really rely on luck, but by them having more dice than you can still end up on top, and I've seen it happen so frequently. It's so super satisfying. But again, basically you're going around and there's different things that you can do, different abilities, such as some of the tokens that allow you to kind of secure different castles by putting a spell on it so your opponent can't go there and take over it, which is something you might want to do for some of your larger towers, or maybe even some of your smaller ones, because maybe you don't want them to go there until you've kind of boosted and added more pendants to it, and you feel that the ones you have more pendants with it, you have such an advantage that you're not worried about it. But maybe you just want to protect the ones that you shouldn't be worried about because you have a lot of pendants and you don't want to afford to lose them. So there's a lot of things that you can strategize against. The battles are so fun. I do think the game itself does shine with 4 players. I did play a 3-player game and we did have a fantastic time and it was so much fun, but I do think that with that 4th player it would have added a lot more points of interaction, because we came to the end playing a 3-player game where it was just different things we were triggering to get the Wizard King itself to move up the track. Now, how the Wizard King can move, there's a few ways. The first is if you do end up changing your character for a battle, he goes up 1 space there. There's also tokens too that can allow him to move more too. And when you start to move the Wizard King up the track too, there's also separate tokens on there which can create conditions in the game which can either help or hurt you. There's so much dynamic and strategy, and it's so simplistic. The game is such a fantastic and such a satisfying game, especially when it comes down to the wire. At the end of the game, we actually were all going neck and neck, and it came down to one last battle, and it was so satisfying. Oh man, this game is easy to teach, fun for the whole family. The components in game looks amazing on the table. The only big thing here is the price point. I ended up paying about $60 for it. It can go anywhere from like $120 higher, at least $100. I know that can be a little bit steep. I have seen on eBay roughly around the $70 point range as of late, but again, If this sounds like the kind of game for you, I highly recommend it, but I do understand if you stay away from it due to the price point. But man, the component quality makes it absolutely worth that price point and just everything going for it. I'll be honest with you, if this game came out at this time, at this point in time, with everything that it has with it, it would probably be about $60 anyway, to be completely honest with you. But the substance and strategy is really well put together, yet it's not too overly complex, and it has just enough randomness to make the game extremely exciting and just fun to watch every player's turn. There doesn't seem to be a lot of waiting in the game because you can potentially do a lot of little mini comboing on each one of your turns, and some negotiating and complaining. Yeah, there's a lot of complaining. But honestly, that's all I have for you guys today. If you are interested in notifications, there is a bell up there somewhere. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I do appreciate any feedback. I'm trying to make these videos more and more outrageous, and with your guys' help, I have been doing so. Monday, regular board game reviews. Wednesday, weekly updates / talks. And then on Fridays, my vintage board game reviews. That is all I have for you guys today. I'll see you guys next time.